Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 224 for the week of August 25th, 2015. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Kind of Bryce.
Toby, yell your name.
Hello.
Toby will be on mic in just a second. And we have with us a very special guest this week. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Clint Cronin.
Clint, what's happening? Clinton? What do you prefer? I never know. You go by both.
It's Clinton if you're paying me, or the other way around. It's on credit cards and checks and everything. But Clint is one syllable. So
all right. Are you a Hawkeye fan or no? Not at all.
Sure.
Green Arrow fan, more likely.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get to you in a second. But Bryce, you've got you're here sorry, I'm gonna spoil you ninjaing out of here. You got 5 minutes. What do you want to say? You're
8 minutes.
You got stuff going on the next few weeks, but
Don't look at the wall, Bryce.
You had a few minutes to jump in here. Bryce.
Yeah, I was on my way home, and I thought, it's always fun, the podcast, and stopping by. So usually we jump into Clint's Secret Origin, so I do feel bad about stealing any thunder, but we'll get plenty of time for that. I wanted to talk about the... You were
really excited about Civil War, the comic?
Oh, dude. Civil War is so good. And by the way, Secret Wars number 5 was really good.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
This story is turning into a fucking really good story, and it's for those of you guys that were confused by Secret Wars, what the fuck happened in the lead up to it, it very clearly spells out for you what happened, when they talk about the Beyonders showing up and about how it was Strange and Doom, and Strange was peace out, and Doom was I'll do it.
I got a lot more to say about Secret Wars later in this episode after Bryce leaves.
That still doesn't explain Guardians of Nowhere.
Oh, yeah, dude, how annoying is that? Wait, was it on podcast when I was explaining about how I'm frustrated with Bendis?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
That's really annoying. Guardians of Nowhere really annoyed me.
Well, we got a lot of good comments about your Patreon-only Bryce Briefly half an hour rant from a few weeks ago.
Well, I'm glad. I'm happy to oblige.
So if you want to hear that, go to patreon.com/comicconspiracy, donate as little as $1, and you can listen to Bryce rant all about Secret Wars for a good half an hour, and we'll probably end up doing that again in a couple weeks here. So
yeah, $1, I'll do it all day,
I'd
all
buy
day,
that
a day
for $1.
That's something.
Dude, you got to get the RoboCop reference in there.
I really wish they would do a Secret Wars director's cut, and they won't. But I want to talk about this because I can't talk to my wife about it because she just rolls her eyes.
We'd get more white pages from a Hickman book.
Oh God, how many? I have a serious question. How many jokes do you tell that just fall flat and you giggle?
That's perfectly fine.
You giggle
I don't care.
and you're the only one.
It's for me. It's for my calorie burning. I don't care.
But everybody's listening to it, and I hope that other people love it.
If I reach one person, it makes me happy.
What if you had a laugh track?
This is true. We should do a laugh track.
You're a big Bang Theory fan, so you should have a laugh track.
God, and
evil.
It's just everything is so funny, and you just giggle. And,
I know.
Anyway,
Secret Wars is so funny.
White pages aside, if they were to take the core Secret Wars, okay, so an omnibus is 50. Wait, do we know how long these are going to be? Is it going to be 4 issues for most of them? 5 issues for most of them? Do we know?
All the minis?
4 and then they're done. Yeah,
4 to 6.
4 to 6 and then they're done. Mm-hmm. So let's average out 5.
1 to 6 technically, because a lot of them are one shots.
Yeah,
but 4 to 6 is
but not the good ones.
The majority are 4 to 6. Yeah.
So no offense, Hank of Hydra, or what is it, Hank Johnson? Have you read it yet? Is it any good?
No.
I have no idea. Look, if they were to take Secret Wars, the core series, and they were to add Civil War, Amazing Spider-Man: Renew Your Vows, Age of Apocalypse, Future Imperfect. I think Inhumans, but I think that I'm in the minority
Age of
there.
Ultron, Marvel Zombies is pretty good.
Yes, I agree with that. Age of Ultron, Marvel Zombies. 1870, whatever.
72?
70 something. None of the X-Men books. Ultimate End.
Are you saying which ones are important?
No, they're just the best. If you're going to do an omnibus of what people would sit down and be like, yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
Thor's for show. I actually like Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde. Old Man Logan. Where's that one? Yeah.
It's right in front of your face.
I do like Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, that was kind of hidden.
The second one got a little bit better. The first one was awkward.
I like them both.
So anyway, if you were to get like 8, if I were to bind it, if I had a better job and I could buy a second copy, because I don't want to actually bind this, but I would bind Although if you're doing important ones, it would be different. If you're doing important ones, you would have to do like, Deadpool Secret Wars, of course. He said sarcastically, and some other ones. So, A-Force would probably just barely miss the omnibus. Sorry, Mr. Higgins. You could also do like an X Books. What's it called? Compendium. What are they called? The
Companion.
Companion. Sorry, Companion. Anyway,
The
so
mutant companion.
that would be great.
Right before we get rid of mutants.
All right.
That would be great. Those are your if you haven't read any and you want to bind books and you want to get 50 comic books that encompass all of Secret Wars and the best of it. Oh, Planet Hulk, is this number 3? Number 4? What? How do I not know these?
Well, Bryce.
Okay.
Can
Can you do one Twitter question before I have to leave?
I don't have any Twitter questions.
Oh.
But I have a long email that we're going to read later. But it's
Okay.
not about comic stuff. It's about something else. But yeah, I have no Twitter questions.
Okay. Can you give me something to talk about for 2 minutes?
Something
that's sort of
for you to talk about for 2 minutes?
A redundant question. Okay, wait.
We are going to move on, Bryce. I am going to give you when Secret Wars is over. You're going to have. I will sit here until you are done.
You know what?
Okay?
I haven't read House of M. I actually don't.
I've
wasn't
read
bad.
it either.
It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
I actually liked House of M, the main one. Back in the day.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out. I really
Did I
wish.
talk about Siege number 1 kind of being crap? Because number 2 was okay.
Oh, I haven't read Siege
I
number
thought
1
Siege
either.
number 1 was and 2 was garbage.
I liked 2. I thought 2 was all right.
The art comic was garbage.
Jesus, you guys are killing me. Have you read this and I haven't?
Inhumans-
Spider Island I liked.
Spider Island's fun. Inhumans Atlan Rising is pretty good.
It is good. Why doesn't Higgins like it? I think that it's actually really good. Korvac
Squadron-
Saga is no good.
Squadron Sinister's okay.
Well, we will definitely, Bryce. We will definitely wait till you get caught up on a few of these, and we'll have you back for a nice long review of all the different ones. And then when we get to the finale,
I want to talk about something else.
Well, you can talk about whatever you want.
I wish
Well,
that I didn't have to go,
Now,
and
we
I could
can't
heckle
promise
Clint
when
the whole
that's
time.
going to be.
well,
because
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We don't know when Secret Wars is ending, but it'll end sometime in October. We hope. But we'll talk.
But you know
about
that it won't.
later.
It'll go until November at this rate.
Well, I expect the new books will all be November.
You'll complain about your delayed books and your double shipping, and you'll complain about both sides, even though it averages out to like one a month.
You're going to hear when you go home and listen to this podcast later tonight, Bryce. You're going to hear me in about 45 minutes or about 30 minutes, maybe saying how much I wish DC was double shipping their books because DC's having some rumored financial issues in the last couple of months. But
that'll shake out. That's just because of the move.
Of course,
that'll shake out.
Of course. Well, anyway, we're going to go ahead and continue on with our normal episode. Thank you, Bryce,
Gentlemen.
for an actual Bryce briefly, as opposed
brief Bryce
yeah,
ever.
it is. It was.
it's weird when we put him on a really strict clock called his wife.
Bryce
He leaves.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to leave so fast. Brock and locked the door on the way.
I like
out.
it.
But Clinton,
Yes, sir.
we're going to talk about you for a little bit here, okay? Uh-oh. Now, when you think of comic book fans, you generally think of, a nerdy guy, fat, or short,
long red hair,
or
glasses.
really skinny, lives in their parents' basement or something like that, And Clinton,
touch not list,
clearly
UB touch.
just this in a nutshell. He is just this total skinny, scrawny nerd. Like, you pick him out and be like, that guy's a comic fan. I'm totally lying. Who are you and why do you read comic books? What is wrong with you? Why aren't you beating us up?
Oh, well, so you have all this great artwork, and what is the focal point, right? It's these huge hulking superhero people, right? Superman,
And you
Batman.
decided to become one of these people? Like, you're a big guy. You do... What do you do? Tell the world what you do. Not professionally. On your spare time, entertainmentally.
I train every day, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, into powerlifting. So I train and teach jiu-jitsu right around the corner. Can you name names?
Yeah, sure. Feel me.
AKA Sunnyvale, here in Sunnyvale, California, right by the Comics Conspiracy Shop.
Yep, right across the street.
Off of,
What's the name of the place?
American Kickboxing Academy.
Okay. And you're into MMA. You don't actually do. Have you done any of that?
So I've been competing in martial arts since I'm a little kid.
Right.
You know what really sucks? Getting punched in the face. It's actually really awful, and I don't think we celebrate just how badly it does suck. So the guys that actually do this, they're superheroes. This is insanely.
You know
scary.
these guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you're a So we've got a great friend of ours, Raphael, here, right? That I poke fun at Raphael, but he is just maybe slightly more traditional comic book fan, right? As well as myself and Brock and most of the people in the store. Clinton, though. All of us, right? No. We're all.
I can mingle in other areas.
We're all horrible nerds.
It's a
okay,
chameleon, right?
Yeah, I'm a chameleon.
Clinton walks in though, and you think like, oh, this guy probably just like fucking Punisher or whatever.
No. Clint walks in, and you go, oh my god, he's gonna beat me up for lunch money.
This dude comes in, and him and Raphael will go on these like 2-hour tangents of the most obscure DC references of the multiverse, and you ask me all these questions, and I'm like, I don't fucking know. like God, like you're like, I've read everything already out this week. Like I've already read all the comics. Like I know everything about everything, and I'm like, dude, you're making me look so bad.
Well, he's not running a comic book store.
He can kick my ass physically. And when it comes to knowledge about comic books, like it's like just stop.
Charlie and I are more caught up than you are, but we don't rub it in your face.
He's more caught up than all of you guys together. Like just stop, okay? You're too good. Don't give us something, okay? Like you've won the rest. He sends me a message from the beaches of Brazil, and he's like, I'm listening to the podcast. I'm like, what are you doing? No. Go live a real life. Don't listen to this garbage while you're in Brazil on vacation.
Okay, I want all our listeners to know that Ryan
he makes me so angry.
He does the best job advertising this podcast on this podcast.
If you're in the beaches of Brazil, don't listen to this podcast.
What? You're on the beaches of Brazil. You're supposed to relax in the sun and just chill, and we are part of that equation. I think that's a good thing. We're being listened to in fucking Brazil.
It's crazy.
So basically, after the first day, great, the beach, it's wonderful. Second day, you're really close to the equator down there. I was in Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. It's like whatever. It's in the north of Brazil. It's winter there, but it doesn't really matter because it's Brazil and it's
when you're on the equator, are there really seasons?
Yeah,
there are not.
Yeah,
there is rain and less rain and sun and ow.
Yeah.
In this case, I'm in full cover up. This sun is hurting me mode. I don't burn that badly, but there I do. So I basically have this baseball cap on. I've got the t-shirt covering most of my face. I'm under the umbrella. I've got the coconut water, and I'm afraid of the sun at this point. And I see the iPhone, and it hasn't broken or been stolen yet. So I'm like, oh yeah, podcasts still work. I've got those downloaded. So I caught up on a couple episodes of Conspiracy, and I noticed there's been a lot more.
I'm just joking. Yeah, I really like that you like this
from
podcast.
The guy that walks out of a door to go outside and sunglasses instantaneously go on.
Oh, I have to.
If there were transition eyeballs, you would be the first in line to get them.
I'm like, my heritage is English and Irish. I am a vampire. I don't tan. I'm white, and then I'm burnt, and then I'm white again. Like, there is no tan. It doesn't happen. Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
You don't have that Native American gene in you?
No, I have nothing in me. So you do all this crazy stuff, but you also read comic books.
I do.
Yeah.
Digital. I'm here every Wednesday. It's for me, I'm used to kind of a routine. So I get up early, like 6 o'clock in the morning. I go and train or teach a class. I go to work from there.
You don't crawl out of bed at 9:30, grab a cup of coffee, play World of Warcraft for an hour, and then drag yourself to work? Because that's what I do every morning. Like I getting up at 6 in the morning and training is like
you tweet.
That's true. I do that sometimes too.
There's lots of days like that. But the mornings when I teach classes, if I go in there and I'm complaining, kind of it gets contagious. Then the students, it's kind of half-assed. So you kind of want to put on a sort of brave face and then go from there. But yeah, absolutely.
So we like to do the kind of the secret origin to people here.
Right.
So what is when did you get into comics? Kind of is this something you've read all your life, or is this more recent? Or and then what are you reading these days? What do you like? I mean, I kind of spoiled it. You're a big DC fan, but
So I grew up in the 80s in New Jersey. So I mean, it was sitcoms, and you had Superman and Batman reruns on television, and my parents got me Superman pajamas when I was 3 years old or 2 years old, with the cape and everything.
Man, the expectations they put on you as a child.
They're like, you need to win. We're gonna figure this out.
Now I feel bad about sending my son to first day of preschool wearing a Batman shirt. I'm like, God damn it.
He's just going to kill his parent or have his parents get killed.
Oh, great!
Now,
I'm going to die now.
Yeah.
So you've got this kid in preschool that's like brooding with.
I gotta invest and make some money. Then
there you go. So I've just been a fan since as long as I can remember. I remember as a real little kid having one of these like the greatest Superman stories ever told. Just a big collection of Golden Age and Silver Age Superman stuff. So Superman Red and Blue, Mr. Militzplick.
Yeah,
I'd still
Mixoplix.
I can't pronounce a lot of it.
Mixpiddlix.
That.
It's either Mixoplix or Mixpiddlix. I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I never know which is the correct way.
Well, we just need to see what version they use on Supergirl, because we've heard it one way on one show.
They've had him in like some various TV shows, and it's pronounced differently. So it's like Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul. Yeah.
But if they bring him to Supergirl, it's going to be like the super handsome guy that's like ripped, and he's going to walk, and he's going to have a British accent, and the whole thing is the Jimmy Olsen guy. He's way smoother than Jimmy Olsen's you normally see.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So when did you first start reading comics?
I know I started, really hounding my parents to sort of take me to the comic book shop more, like right after Death of Superman, Nightfall.
Okay.
That was when I really started, as a monthly sort of, collector or a reader. I don't like saying collecting because, they accumulate, but I'm like, you don't expect many modern books to appreciate. So they just kind of read them and bag them and board them and sit them there. Yeah. So you just wind up a bunch of them.
Just make sure you have them organized.
Yes, I do.
Don't fall into that category.
So did you read like all through high school and college and everything, or did you kind of fade away and come back to it?
There were sort of gaps here and there where money was a little tighter, sort of getting established out here, especially where it was more graphic novels or, just grabbing things online as they're available. But
girls.
There's that. I'm owned for the last 8 years, so I basically I get what I can, or what I'm permitted to.
Your allowance.
My allowance. It is. It totally is. It totally is. I have no idea how much I make. It just sort of goes somewhere, and I get to come here, and then I get yelled at when I buy comic books.
Well, I've said this numerous times, but I definitely have a lot of customers that are like, I'm going to pay $10 for my credit card and $30 in cash. Like, I know exactly why every time they do that. So I've got more than a couple.
I try real hard not to walk that path because I don't like having to explain things after. I'm bad with shame and awkward humor. I have to leave the room, and like the show The Office, the US version. Whenever there'd be really awkward Steve Carell humor, I'd have to like cover my eyes or leave the room. So I just take it head on. I show her the receipt, or she sees the receipt somehow. Sure. It's like, I don't recognize that cover. I'm like, you don't know comic books? She knows new comic books. She can tell. They could all be graded in exactly the same, and she'll see a new cover and like, what? Come on, where's the receipt?
So what are you reading these days? I know you're a big Green Lantern fan too.
I am. I'm just a big fan, even since I'm a kid. More so of the Jeff Johns stuff recently. Yep. And right now, my favorite sort of Green Lantern arc and what I'm reading now is actually the Green Lantern Star Trek crossover.
Oh yeah.
Which is
ever the first issue. It's pretty good.
It is.
It's fun.
I'm an original series Star Trek fan, not because I feel it's superior to other Star Treks, but because there's a lot of them and I just haven't watched them all.
Yeah.
That's
I've seen most of them. And Star Trek's fun, but there's a lot to watch. So if you're not really into it, it's like, ooh, it can be a bit.
Yeah, you don't marathon that. You can. That's like 2 triathlons.
Well, if you watch every Star Trek, that'd be like it'd be like 30 some odd seasons of television. Like it'd be like a couple hundred episodes. Like, yeah, that's a lot.
3 months.
It's a lot of TV.
You could do it. You may not have many friends when it's over, and if they were with you, then they might not be now.
Yeah. So I know you're at least in the comics, you're a bit of a bigger DC fan, but movie wise and TV, you watch pretty much all of them, right? You're with us, yeah.
Absolutely, and it's not that I'm not into Marvel, or I like a lot of the stuff Marvel does. It's just there are quite a few DC characters that I do like to subscribe to monthly, and it adds up. It's financially, it adds up. I'm busy, so there's only so much I can read. I want to catch up with this basically the last year of Avengers. I want to get into Secret Wars, but so far I've been kind of following Wikipedia and reviews and stuff just to kind of get an idea. There's a lot of crossovers, there's a lot of characters that maybe I don't even know that well. And a lot of changes in the last year or two in the Marvel Universe, and even further back since you're including a lot of different crossover titles. Yeah. So it's
I know you do digital. Have you looked into the Marvel Unlimited? It's like $100 a year or something, and it's like their Netflix kind of. So it goes back to books from the '60s. It's not everything, and there's lots of holes, but they've been filling it in for a long time, and it's. Everything new is, I believe, up to 6 months ago. So they're not extremely... Basically, they're like a trade paperback behind on everything. So like right now would be like towards the tail end before Secret Wars. But, by the time...
You're getting into the countdown to Secret Wars.
By the time,
end
of next year or February or something, they would have like all the Secret Wars stuff out. So...
There's a trade something like that, isn't there? There's a countdown to Secret Wars or something like that. Or?
There's a lot of prelude. It's all in the Avengers stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So
all right. Well, good.
Well, that's something that we'd have to show the receipt for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a beating. Sure. I would be tortured or something.
Well, Toby's back. There's something we want to talk about because as well of being a fan of all this comic books. You were also a big wrestling fan, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So that's another thing that started when you're a little kid. We had He-Man on TV, and then you had like Hulk Hogan. That was like the real life He-Man, and then Superman. It's all kind of the same sort of thing.
So we're all roughly the same age. Over the weekend, there was WWE's SummerSlam. Now, you may be wondering, why the hell is Ryan talking about wrestling on this podcast? Especially when I have, in various times in the past, poked slight fun at wrestling.
Yeah, now, especially since when wrestling is here at Levi Stadium, you wouldn't let me fucking talk about it. Yeah, if someone shows up at wrestling, you actually go to a wrestling party.
Well, so... Stephen Amell, also known as Arrow, or Green Arrow, as he's going to be called in this next season.
Spoiler.
Had made a lot of talk about him. There was a lot of talk about him being actually wrestling in a WWE match. Now, he had been on... you could maybe fill me in on the specifics, because he had been kind of a guest in the crowd, quote unquote, and had this feud with Stardust, right? One of the wrestlers.
It basically, I think it started on Twitter actually, with just some banter back and forth between Cody Rhodes, which is Dusty Rhodes' son, or Stardust, and Stephen Amell. And it escalated to, they brought him in to sit in the front row or do a backstage vignette or something like that. And then, the characters kind of clashed. Stardust is kind of this out there, you could say, comic book-esque sort of villain character in the WWE proper universe, or whatever you're calling it. And what they did is basically they feuded them over television. They had a couple physical altercations, in which case Arrow, or Stephen Amell, looked great. The guy does his own stunts. He clearly went through and received training. I mean, they have the WWE training facility, their performance center in Florida. So you can tell he spent some time there. He took it seriously. It looks like he impressed quite a few people. The word is that they're looking at bringing him in to do actually a singles match with Stardust as well, but probably not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Is sort of what the whispers are at the moment.
Well, the insurance won't let them do it
I'm whispering WrestleMania.
Well, So for me,
you know what this means, right? I mean, Stephen Amell got this ball stuff rolling. I mean, he's a big WWE fan and stuff. He got this ball rolling on Twitter with, Stardust, right? He got the ball rolling on getting Constantine to WWE. He seems to be the only person that get things done. Dude, Steve Amell for president.
Well, he's already running a con at this point, too.
Yeah. That Heroes and Villains con that's here in San Jose, he's like co-running that. Yeah. And so... for me, with wrestling, like probably everyone our age, wrestling was just huge in the 80s. You had all the video games.
I watched it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I was a big wrestling fan, but I definitely was a fan when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that kind of phased out, and
how many of us had the stretch Macho Man Randy Savage?
Oh, I'm sure
I'm
sure I did. Yeah. I had all that stuff. So, wrestling is one of those things where I kind of, especially in later years, was like, wrestling, like kind of stubbed my nose at it, right? And I was like, this shit's dumb, right? I was like, yeah, and I'd always say, yeah.
Let me translate. It was when he met Leanne, and wrestling had all these half naked girls, and
no.
Like, even
before that, I mean, I didn't follow wrestling at all, really, in the 90s.
I'm kidding, right?
But I would always make the joke. Oh, a bunch of half naked beefy guys running around beating each other up. How stupid is that? Obviously, making fun of myself because I like comic books and I was making fun of wrestling. It was very, tongue in cheek and knowing that I'm being very hypocritical. But I never got into it. So me and Toby both invited to a friend's house who big wrestling fans, and they have WWE Network, and they said, hey, this is the one Stephen Amell is going to be on. Also, I'm a huge fan of Jon Stewart, who hosted the episode. So this was the perfect episode for me to watch. And I'm probably the last time I saw a actual wrestling match, like more than 5 seconds flipping through Sci-Fi Channel or something. The Undertaker probably was the only guy that's currently in that was in it back then. Because, I mean, this would have been the late 80s, right? I mean, maybe very early 90s. Yeah. When did he start?
Oh, he's been around for a long time. He started in the WWE or F in, I want to say 1990 or 91.
Okay, it would have been then. It would have been the last time.
When we were at the tail end of middle school.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been the last time that I watched wrestling. And, especially, it's a little bit like drinking. I wouldn't sit at home and do it by myself.
You don't drink.
No, but when you're in a big group of people who are all kind of into it.
Did you get belligerent drunk?
No, I didn't. But it's like, I
failed, Toby. You failed.
I can see the appeal. And me and Toby both, I think, came out of this being like, for not having watched wrestling in 25 years, that was actually pretty damn fun. Especially being with people that know it, right? And are able to tell you the storyline and explain what's going on.
Well, so I was more surprised by Brian, who was guest last week?
Yeah.
The week before?
Yep.
It comes off, he reads books. Like real books, right? He had some in his kitchen closet, for Christ's sake. Yeah. And he's
like... It seemed like he was interviewing for your job.
No, but he was literally teaching me on the history of WWE. I'm like, how the hell do you know that? I mean,
Brian doesn't do anything half-assed. Like I said, he came here with notes.
He surprised me so much.
He's like, well, if I'm going to watch wrestling, I'm going to learn about it first. And he went all out. But it was, it was... So besides Jon Stewart and besides, Stephen Amell, I don't think that I would sit down and watch it, watch Raw every Monday night, or I mean, because first of all, it's long. I mean, there's so much wrestling, but I have to admit, it was actually pretty fun, and I was definitely into it. So, and Toby, I think you're kind of same ball as me, right?
Yeah, I like back then. I still like the storylines actually more than anything. I mean, I'm a comic book nerd, right? I mean, the stuff I love the most is the NWO versus Sting as the Crow. I mean, I just love that storyline. Right now, I'm like, Mel needs to come back, and they need to drag it out, and I want to see more because I was always more for the story than the fighting itself. But fighting was fun. It was, they're really energetic. A couple of matches early on, I was like, damn, dude, they. I mean, I think I got out of it when the storyline died a little bit, and some of the fights were not as entertaining anymore. I think that's when they lost me.
Yeah.
And they probably went back up, but at that point it was already out, right? So,
well, I think too, if you look at Stephen Amell, when he was in the ring, I mean, they got to be kind of careful because he's a quote unquote celebrity, right? And they're not going to do to him what they're doing to these other guys. So kind of they're not taking shots to the face. But he was on the top of the ropes. He jumped down. He got the guys. I mean, he did good. But they were moving kind of at like a 6, right, around him. I could tell it felt a little slower. But then when his partner, what's his partner's name? I'm blanking on it.
Neville.
Adrian Neville, yeah.
When he came back in, boom, now they're suddenly back into a 10. And he's just... Not that the Stephen Amell was bad. It looked, I mean, to me, as someone who doesn't know wrestling, it looked perfectly fine. But, I mean, you could tell there was just such a speed increase when they're back in the ring. And Stephen Amell looked fucking winded at the end.
I have a feeling he was so excited and probably didn't sleep all night because it was finally happening.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when he shot that cage match spot for Arrow and Flash and stuff with the villains and stuff, where they're all like in that Thunderdome cage thing, he looked overly excited.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's also, you could take, you go in between takes and you sit down for an hour or two.
Yeah.
This is all full on right away.
And with Stephen Amell, I mean, you look at him in Arrow, and he's a big guy, right? But you put him next to these guys, and he looks like a fucking kid.
Yeah. Did you notice the voice is a little bit different when he actually would speak on WWE TV versus what you see in the character? Like they do some voice tricks on Arrow. It seems.
Yeah.
But no, he moved pretty well. He did a couple different moves, a couple spots. I think he did a hip toss and was able to roll through and do some other pretty cool stuff. That, I mean, it's basic, but it worked because.
Yeah. But he looked exhausted at the end of that.
Yeah.
And you see these guys that are twice his size, 300 pounds, and they're like doing these ridiculous flips.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell do these guys move like that? It's amazing.
Practice.
Yeah. So basically, if you consider that as a career, the training schools or the training programs that they have for it before any WWE Performance Center or anything like that, these were usually former wrestlers or current wrestlers with a small dingy gym, and it was all about paying your dues. So you came in, you were brand new, and it was they would basically abuse you. 1,000 squats, 1,000 push-ups, running miles up bleachers, whatever horrible training you can imagine. They abuse these guys, and so the biggest thing is when the guys go out there, they want to make sure they can go. So you'll have a 290-pound guy, and he's hitting the ropes, jumping over, doing all this different stuff, and yeah, they're great athletes. They take a lot of punishment and stuff. It's pretty crazy. But I mean, you see, like you mentioned, you see the size of Arrow, and then you look at Neville. Neville's not a big guy,
no,
but
he's built so differently.
Oh yeah, it's a total different animal. These guys are performers. This is all they do. They all have like these perfect tans, and like they don't even look like real people.
They have machines. For that.
Well, Stephen Amell, and God, that guy is. What do we look like compared to these guys? Is what I'm saying. Because Stephen Amell is like in Arrow.
We need to get Stephen
looks,
Amell on the podcast.
But I mean, if you put me next to Stephen Amell looks like fucking the most fit person in the world. But next to these guys, he's like just a dude, right? Yeah. So it's crazy to see how they just make everyone else look so like just flabby and like out of shape or whatever. It's ridiculous. Yeah, no, I definitely had a lot of fun with this, and
Ryan went home on the treadmill for a bit before I went to bed that night.
Jeez.
Looking down at his gut going, I need to have 4 slices of pizza.
Well, if Ryan didn't, I sure did.
Yeah, no, it makes you feel very inadequate. But no, that was fun times. And if Stephen Amell, because he was on Raw Monday too, right? Didn't he come back? Or did they have? Oh no, I'm sorry. Jon Stewart was on.
Jon Stewart was back.
Yeah, they had him back on. So yeah, I knew someone was back on. So yeah, but if Amell comes back on, I'll definitely watch. That was pretty good.
It was a good crowd too. I had a good time at the wrestling house.
And like I said, we were with friends who were really into this stuff, and they know what's going on, and that really, I think.
I think at home, if I would have watched it on my own, I probably would have watched the Arrow fight and
that's it.
Probably turn it off after that. But since it was like with good company, I was like, I haven't seen this in a while. I'll keep watching. It was very entertaining.
Well, I mean, a lot of good sporting events. That's what you can do is you can go and hang out with some friends. And I mean, I'm not into football, but I'll go to watch a Super Bowl party or whatever. Not that I care what's going on the TV, but. It's just hanging out with those people, and it's just the environment,
Yeah, it's always a lot different that way. So, Toby,
yes,
I got a nice long email here directed at you that I want to read.
I apologize for the things I said, and if said anything wrong, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh.
This is from Jamie.
Jamie. Okay, hey, Jamie.
And the title is Secret Cinema.
Okay.
The Info.
Yeah. Oh, excellent.
So we talked about this, I think it was last week, where in the UK they have this thing called the Secret Cinema, where it's like a
submersive
private
cinema experience.
Right, it's like a private movie screening, but it's like they set these things up to be like a real part of the movie. So like they had Back to the Future, they had Star Wars. So I'm gonna read what he says here. He says, "This is for Toby, as he seemed very interested in the Secret Cinema experience of The Empire Strikes Back."
Yes.
It's not super long, but it's long, so give me a minute. Let me read through this, but it's good info.
It's good that you read, because I probably would have butchered the email.
3 lines, it's long.
He says, I went And here's what happened. Before you start, you have to answer some kind of question, and these determine who you may need to dress as. I got Intergalactic Explorer, and so I needed to dress in khaki colors, have a scarf, and goggles, as sandstorms may have been coming. Other people there was dressed as Alliance starfighters, governors, or the Alliance and mercenaries. Once you get there, I can't say where it's based, but it was an old abandoned warehouse. You have to crouch down and make your way past enemy spies, or eventually you meet up with some Alliance leaders. They tell you you're boarding a craft set for Mos Eisley, and you need to keep your wits about you. You perform some tasks, and eventually you end up in the marketplace that is Mos Eisley. They have market stalls, a sand speeder, actors dressed up as Jawas. You try to steal things from your bags and pockets.
Yes! Can I steal a Java and bring it home?
You have to look around. You're supposed to try to trade stuff. You can find Luke's hut, the Mos Eisley Cantina, exactly how it looks on screen. Where they sell you different colored drinks. The band playing the Star Wars music. I'm assuming the Cantina band, right?
Yeah.
This is so awesome.
Han, Chewie, and Greedo having a shootout, and Han shot first. C-3PO and R2-D2 was there. A shitload of stormtroopers were there. I played a card game with Lando and won. Boba Fett was there, and I traded him the blueprints for a Falcon and got some gold, quote-unquote. It was brilliant. Then you get arrested and taken to the different part of the warehouse where you see Vader and Obi-Wan fight, a pretty huge X-Wing come down and blow up the planet. And then you all sit down and watch Empire Strikes Back. During some scenes, actors come out and mimic what's happening on the screen. It was a fantastic night and well worth the money.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Wow. I feel like I totally missed out because they probably won't do Star Wars next. And I missed out on Back to the Future. I don't know what else they can do to make me really want to go.
Goonies. Gremlins.
Done. Gremlins.
Lord of the Rings.
No. Gremlins, though. Oh, my God.
I have to fly to Europe,
They
though.
take you to a castle. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Hey, going to Europe is it's not a negative thing. I'd be totally down to go even without the secret cinema.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah. I thought you'd like that.
I think I have to just blind sign up for it for the next one, whenever the next one is, and then I can go.
So when we're on the podcast, we go, yeah, Toby's not here because apparently he went across the pond. So
Yeah, absolutely, because then I could also go see the Doctor Who experience, and there's plenty of doo-doo there.
It's even fun stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super cool. I thought that was
That
great.
is phenomenal.
I thought that was a great.
That is just phenomenal. I thought my Walking Dead experience was really cool. This is nothing compared to that. Wow.
So this is London, right?
Yes.
Right, so that's way better tourist stuff than I did. I got rained on.
Well, it's England, so that's likely, right?
It's likely I get rained on
yeah.
anyways. Yeah.
Oh, London's awesome, but I found nothing like that. It just seemed to close at like 5 p.m., and then I had to walk back in
London?
the rain. Yeah, it was just during the day. I was out there working a few different times back in, I think, 08, 09.
Okay. Yeah.
well, it's because nobody had any money. Everything was crashing, so they had to close early.
Yeah, I didn't have any money either. It was just bad. Food was really expensive.
Wow.
Great place.
Well, luckily I don't eat a whole lot, but I drink a whole lot, so maybe that doesn't help me at all.
Good place to drink.
Yes,
Excellent.
it is. Yes.
The plan is I'm going there next year, so from honeymoon. So
Yeah.
we shall see. I'm excited. All right, we got a handful of news stories here that we'll cover, and then
News stories.
yeah. I didn't get Twitter questions today, so
What?
Sorry about
What
that,
is
guys.
wrong with our listeners?
No, I didn't ask for them, so that's my own
They
fault.
should know.
But we got a handful of things here to talk about. And Fear of the Walking Dead, and you guys get a chance to see that.
Nah, I didn't get a chance.
Toby?
Yes,
Okay.
because I was the only one to stay behind in
stayed
the
and watched
wrestling
it.
party to watch Fear of the Dead.
Clinton,
I
did you
mean,
watch
Fear
it?
of the Walking Dead.
I caught the first 10 minutes. They kind of lost me.
Okay. Well, we're going to save that for the end. We'll talk about the pilot episode. But there's a handful of news stories here to talk about first. All TV-based as well. Although it got rumored and then canceled, and now it's back on. Apparently, ABC did order the pilot for a Mockingbird and
I'm all for it.
boyfriend whatever show, I think, right?
Hawkeye?
No, the guy.
Because it has to be Hawkeye.
Well, sure, that'd be awesome. But so this is a spinoff from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If it happens, cool. I feel like it's unlikely, but I mean, maybe.
I think she's been the more interesting parts in the show.
Yeah.
Sure, I never got to do the Shield review thing towards the end. No, the end actually got really good. I
Yeah.
actually like some of the spins they did.
Well, I talked about it a little bit. There's some goofy shit in that.
No,
last
but I
episode.
kind of like the whole spin with the mom being kind of the spoilers, I guess. Bad person, but
No,
but don't
Ryan's
you
talking
feel-
about the fish oil.
But yeah, the fish oil part was annoying.
what fish oil?
At the very end, where the Terrigen crystals get knocked into the ocean and they infect the fish and they make a bunch of fish oil, and now that's apparently, I mean,
That's how mutant starts
that's what
popping
they
up
imply.
left and right.
right.
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed the end. I mean, look, I was one of the guys I hated the show for multiple reasons, and I explained why I didn't like it. And it kind of went up a little bit and then went downhill. I was like, they're following the same plot holes again. And I thought the end actually came together really nicely.
But see, I think that's the problem with the show like S.H.I.E.L.D. It can't ever use the real characters, right? Because
But I think they should. The Marvel Universe is so big.
they should.
Just do it.
They
Just
should,
do it.
right? But they can't use any of the actual Inhumans because the Inhuman movie hasn't even been written yet, and so they can't use any real characters in case they use them for the movie. So we get stuck with...
I should just alias, Black Ops, Hydra versus S.H.I.E.L.D. versus, AIM.
I think, and...
That's what it should be. Again, still, I mean, that's what I said since the pilot episode until now.
It should be.
Still saying Black Ops mission.
It should be.
You don't have to do that many supervillains.
I'm still watching it. I don't hate it. It exists.
Yeah.
It's fun, but
It's on your TiVo.
It's on my TiVo, but it's not the first thing I watch. It's actually the last thing I watch usually. So
For me too. That's why it took so long to get the review.
Clinton, did you catch up on S.H.I.E.L.D.? Are you watching any of it? Or
Actually, I'm really looking forward to the second season of Daredevil.
Oh,
So
well,
that's kind of where I am.
That's a whole nother discussion.
I won't argue that. I had minor issues with Daredevil, but I mean I liked it miles ahead of S.H.I.E.L.D. So,
Yes, fully agreed.
yeah.
I'll try Shield again. I didn't have that option. The Netflix in Brazil. I think I wound up watching Under the Dome. And,
I heard that was mediocre.
It jumped the shark at season 2.
Oh,
it was just a totally different thing. I don't know anyone that likes season 2 or the show really. Either,
Yeah.
Stephen King's great. There's that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a bad history of a lot of his products being turned into some kind of shitty movies or TVs. A lot of some good, very good ones too, but lots of bad ones.
Well, I just want to put it out there, for as much as I gave S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end, actually, I think they actually did some good. So I just want to give them the credit they deserve a little bit, even though I still think it's a mediocre show. Sorry.
So we have obviously Jay Garrick coming to Flash next season.
I just thought you were going to say Jay Garrick was as an evil and had questions.
No. We have Jay Garrick coming to Flash.
He's a younger
next
dude,
season.
though, yeah?
Yeah. We also now have Jesse Quick has been cast for
nice.
Flash
Cool.
season 2. Violet Bean, Bane, B-E-A-N-E, Violet Bean, who is according to the quote, a brilliant but quirky college student who gets caught up in the battle between the Flash and the season 2 big bad, Zoom. Now they've talked about, Zoom being the bad guy of season 2. They've talked about that a couple times, and there was that little teaser where they say like Zoom is coming or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how this character is going to differentiate between, Zoom and Professor Zoom, because Zoom in the comics is the Jeff Johns Wally
black and red costume one.
No, just the Jeff Johns created Zoom from the Wally West series around 197.
Yeah.
That's Zoom, I guess. And so they've had kind of a few different takes on this character. So I wonder if they're going to actually say he's a different character, or I don't know, because parts of Eobard Thawne, his character in season 1 is kind of based around that version. So it's weird that they would have two separate characters that are both played by kind of two separate.
Or it's the same.
Or it could be the same guy. Yeah, because he's in it too.
Yeah.
So as Harrison Wells.
Okay.
So yeah, cool. We'll see.
So what I noticed in the Comic-Con panel is they kind of put emphasis on Earth 2, and will that mean more than Jay Garrick? Is that going to mean that this is a Earth 2 Zoom of some kind? Or
that's
possible.
That's possible too. Yeah.
Very possible.
They're also doing Hot Girl in the DC Legends.
But she's in. She was in the finale of Flash. They showed her very briefly. The actress. She was there when the whole thing.
Yeah, no, she looks up.
Getting sucked up.
she looks
Yeah.
Well, Wally West got cast.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about that last week. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wally got cast. I don't get the guy's name, but they've cast
A few people
for
They're moving
season
really
2.
fast with the show.
And they actually cast another villain today, but it's some like D-list Flash villain. I can't remember the guy's name, but some real D-list villain. But it's like, hey, more actual name.
Might not be a
characters.
D-list in the show.
No, that's true. That's true. I just want more
Also Booster
Captain
Gold.
Cold.
Captain Cold and
yeah.
Heatwave and so the big ones we haven't seen from the Rogues. We haven't seen Pied Piper. Mm-hmm. We haven't.
Well, no,
Mirror.
wasn't that who was the sound guy then? At the beginning of Flash, it was the other scientist kid with the glasses. Wasn't that the Pied Piper?
Yeah. So the character was in it, but I don't think he wasn't. He wasn't the Pied Piper.
Pied Piper. It was his beginning. So they haven't said he was the Pied Piper, but I thought that he was.
For what?
It was the episode where they had to tune all the radios to block out the sound.
I'm not remembering this.
Anybody remember?
I don't remember.
It was
either.
on the. It was the kid with the glasses. it was the scientist kid. He showed up again towards the end. It was the mean, lab assistant guy that was like.
No, that wasn't Pied Piper.
I thought that was Pied Piper because he was dealing with sound and all that stuff.
Anyway, there are a couple. I mean, the real Weather Wizard, he was there. So like we've got most of the Rogues, but I mean, there are other villains they haven't used.
So that character, isn't that where Cisco actually got the box that he wound up giving over to Canary from Arrow? Mm-hmm. So okay,
Yeah.
I remember the episode. I don't know who it is, but
Yeah, I thought that was the Pied Piper.
Well, it could be. I can't remember. I don't remember anything. What I'm talking about.
Well, there was so much that happened in the first season of Flash.
Yeah. There really was. I can look it up, I suppose.
Yes, you do have the internet right in front of you.
Also related to Flash and Arrow. Do any of you guys watch this? Today was the premiere of Vixen, the cartoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was a 5-minute. It was a 5-minute animated short on CW Seed.
Yeah.
Which was it's like their original content streaming site thing. So it's cool. It looked really good. I mean, it looked like a lot of the DC animation that they've been doing, the direct-to-DVD animation. Not like rated R, but there was strong dialogue, if you will, in this, which caught me a little bit off guard. I wasn't actually expecting
but if
that.
they're so I have a feeling they're doing it on Seed, which is like a different platform. So maybe they're testing grounds if they could do some teenage/young adult cartoons, because that's kind of been a problem in the cartoon industry here, because they're all meant for kids, right? There's no middle ground.
Well, it's the same with comics. I mean, there's a kind of age where they stop and then they come back when they're, there's like a gap in age, and especially around like the early teen era, where kids kind of get out of comic books and aren't really doing it as much.
Okay, I just have to go over this list because, you're right. Before we get back to Arrow, Vixen. Pied Piper is that character. Yeah, that is Pied Piper. So I am just going to read this list because this is who was in season 1 of Flash. Besides all the regular people, and man, it is. I can't even believe this many characters were in season 1. So you have all the regular cast. You have Firestorm, right, with both Martin Stein and Ronnie Raymond. You have Linda Park, who is Wally's girlfriend later, right? You have Captain Cold and Heatwave. You have David Singh, who is the police captain. He's, I believe, from the Jeff Johns run originally.
Yeah, he's in the Jeff Johns.
You have Henry Allen, Barry's father. And then, Pevy Spivot also announced for season 2. She's the Barry's kind of love interest in the more recent comics.
She's the
her partner, his partner. Yeah. So you had Oliver Queen, obviously, Stephen Amell. Roy Bigelow, also known as Rainbow Raider. He was a villain in an episode. You had it's kind of just other random characters, blah blah blah. You had General Wade Eiling, who was Clancy Brown, but he's known as the Shaggy Man later.
He was the one with Plastique.
Yeah, you had Mist, so that was an early episode. Obviously, Black Canary was in there. Girder, the guy that could turn
the Colossus version of Flash.
You have Plastique. You had both Tricksters. You had Mark Hamill, and then you had the young Trickster. which is great. You had Deathbolt, who was just a D-list Flash villain, but
he wasn't. That was General.
What's that?
Deathbolt. That was the guy with the guns.
He was killed by Captain Cold. He was just weaponized plasma energy. Now, you had
Oh yeah. Okay.
You had what's her face from
the guy
Walking
with the eyes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You had what's her face from Walking Dead as the bug-eyed bandit, Emily Kinney. And I just actually closed the list, so it doesn't matter. There's a fucking ass load of people. Oh, here we go. You had Clock King was in it. You had Golden Glider was in it. Weather Wizard, Pied Piper, Peekaboo, who's one of the more recent
she's
Jeff Johns run.
The teleporter.
Yeah, the teleporter. You had Tina McGee, who is from the original Flash TV show.
Which one was that one?
She was
the lab person.
She ran, Mercury Labs.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the older lady.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Diggle, Hawkgirl, obviously, this kind of cameos. Blackout, know, Clyde Martin, who's the original Weather Wizard. You have Weather Wizard, you have Simon Stagg, you have Multiplex, and you have Grodd. Fucking hell, Flash, take it easy.
No, don't.
No, don't.
Yeah, don't. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say because I was looking up that list while we were talking. So Vixen. Vixen was okay. It wasn't great. I mean, it's 5 minutes.
I really enjoyed Vixen and Teen Titans Go.
Oh, yeah. But, I will be curious when this is done and I can watch, this Vixen movie they're doing. But at 5 minutes at a shot...
is it weekly, or is Netflix live, or they do all of it at once?
No, it's only the first episode right now.
Okay.
So probably weekly.
Okay.
Yeah. But, interesting.
Hey, we're getting moving serials.
Yeah. Curious to see what they do with it going forward. And
I think it's cool that they're doing a different medium and, doing as a short format thing.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe we get some other stuff. Maybe we get a Cisco short miniseries or whatever. Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
And all those characters are going to be in a Flash, voiced by their actual.
Yeah.
By their
I thought that was
people.
really cool.
A lot of those guys are all.
And I think the girl they cast to be Vixen, I think she could actually play Vixen in the show if that really were to happen.
That's probably not by accident. Yeah. So,
any more news?
Interesting stuff. A couple more things here. We have actually this is something that does affect us is the comic store because this officially got announced. Been talked about for a while. So Record Store Day. So you know Free Comic Book Day. It's the event that comic stores do every year. We give a bunch of free comics.
And it always happens. Doesn't it always happen around Free or Record Day too?
Well, Free Comic Day is first Saturday in May.
Yeah, but doesn't the Free Record Day happen?
Well, it's not
about the
Free
same
Record
time?
Store Day. It's just Record Store Day.
Yeah, but doesn't it happen about the same time?
Usually a little bit later.
Okay.
Yeah. So what they do with Record Store Day is that all the companies get together to make all these really limited edition reissues on colored vinyl or cool collector's edition stuff. Only released to physical record stores. Nothing's available online. Only available that one day. I mean, if they have extra material, they can always sell it later. But everything sells out. And so cool stuff. I got the Guardians of the Galaxy cassette tape this last year,
nice.
Which comes with a digital code, obviously. But it's hey, it's the replica of the mixtape.
Because we know this is gonna just fuck up and.
Sure.
The tape player you put it in is gonna eat it.
Sure. So they the comic stores have been talking about doing this for a long time, and it's finally actually happening. So November 8th is going to be local.
Remember the 5th of November.
November 8th is going to be local comic shop day. So this is being run by Comics Pro, which is a retail organization that I'm a part of, and they're going to have exclusive comics, exclusive variant covers, hardcovers. Things that maybe didn't have hardcovers before, all exclusive to small brick-and-mortar comic stores. No, not Hastings, not Barnes & Noble, none of these big chain stores. It's only available to small local comic stores.
So is Midtown included in that?
I assume so. I mean... They have physicals. They have two or three physical store locations. So I'm assuming that yes, they have a large online order, but they can't sell them online. It's only in store. So and Midtown does a lot of in store stuff too. Mm-hmm. So Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, everyone signed up for it. We don't have all the info, but they did officially announce the first two things that are coming out, which is 2 exclusive variant covers for Invader Zim #1 and Rick and Morty #1 from Oni Press. So two very popular series, especially Invader Zim, very, very popular. There's also a book called Exodus: The Life After, which is also coming from Oni, which I believe is launching before it comes out regularly. So only stores there's going to be some books like this. So we're going to get people that are stores that are participating in this are actually going to get it ahead of time of the actual launch date, maybe just a couple days, maybe a couple weeks. But I'm really excited to see what Marvel, DC, Image bring to the table. And I hope a lot of the indie guys can put some really cool stuff out here, because this is, the potential for this is huge. Yeah. It's different than Free Comic Day. This is going to be collectors.
Well, this is going to be stuff that, I mean, until we know how you can order, or what the allocations and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
until we know that, I mean, it's cool that we actually have merchandise that people can come in and it's very, limited, and you can only get it here. There's no online retailer for it.
Right.
But you're going to get the same thing in many shops that you do at Comic-Con. Is you're just going to have people coming and buying for the secondary market, buying for eBay, or buying to resell. And I mean, are you guys going to be sort of watching out for the obvious resellers, or does it matter?
Or 2 a person, 1 a person?
Well, right.
Yeah.
First, it depends. I mean, if it's like order as many as you want, we order 1,000 copies, and go have fun. Good luck. Sure. Flipping that, right? No, more than likely the stuff will be limited 1 a person, maybe 2 a person, depending on what it is. But I believe a lot of these, especially the hardcovers, you're always going to get people flipping stuff, right? The hope is that most people don't, right? And if they do, well, they do, right? There will be some limit to this, just by the general nature of it. So,
I don't expect it to be like people with the Matty collector line at Comic-Con or anything.
Yeah.
There'll be some, probably.
Well, if they get something like Funko into it for like an exclusive pop or things like that, that's when you start to get a little crazy.
Then I'm going to have to get stanchions and lines and tase people.
Then Lane is going to be first in line if that happens. Funko is.
But this also allows, stores to run events very differently, maybe tier out when the stuff's available. And, I've talked to people that run free record store day stuff in the past, and they said, some people are clearly just grabbing one of everything to flip, but the majority are going to actual fans, and I know my customers here, while we will get a lot of people in to probably flip, the vast majority of people will buy for themselves. So, very excited about this.
Are we going to do our famed comic conspiracy party for this?
Maybe. Sure.
Very nice.
Yeah. All right. One last little
famed. I say famed.
I say one last little news story, but actually could be a very big news story. And then we're going to talk some Fear the Walking Dead real briefly. This was a rumor on Bleeding Cool earlier today. Again, so who knows? Because rumors are rumors. You never know if it's true or not. However, there was some talk that DC performed well under expectations for the last fiscal year. A lot of it having to do with, the first half of this year and the last half of last year. A lot of it has to do with Convergence underperforming, which shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, I think everyone expected. I actually thought it did better than even national sales wise.
For some titles, you actually had to go back and order.
For us, it did better than expected. Industry wise, I actually think it did better than expected too. So I don't know specifics on that. They moved from one side of the country to the other entire office, so a lot of money spent on that. And then, as expected, a lot of these new DC books are not blowing up the sales charts. But again, that was known. We knew these books weren't going to tear up the sales charts.
I mean, these books are going up against Secret Wars titles, a huge thing that Marvel's doing, in the middle of.
But even among themselves, Dr. Fate and Doomed are only going to have so much.
I mean, I'm caught up finally on Dr. Fate, and it's okay. I enjoyed it for what I read, but it's not something that's going to sell huge numbers and be this fantastic hit. I mean,
we've talked about this, that these are selling to, I think, a lot of different readers than your traditional Batman, Justice League, Superman readers, and that's great because there's a lot of books on the shelf, a lot of readers. People tend to buy a few books, not every book on the shelf. So this rumor is a little disheartening, if true. Hopefully it's not. But DC, the rumor coming from Bleeding Cool is that various people were told to, quote unquote, stop Batgirling, meaning, and then go back to, again, quote unquote, meat and potatoes. So the belief of all these new DC books underperforming, upper management at Warner Brothers is telling them, hey, you had a hit with Batgirl, but you can't make more of them. It's just a one-off that it's as successful as it is. Well, and it's not even that successful.
Batgirl's successful?
It is.
The Gail Simone did so much better, didn't it?
It's... I mean,
what are your subscriber numbers on Batgirl now versus?
I'm not the norm. That's the problem. Numbers are up from Gail Simone's run. Yes, okay. That's the only thing that matters. And this would be unfortunate because I like a lot of these new books that are coming out. They're bringing in a different audience. It maybe doesn't need to be 25, right, quote unquote, meat and potatoes, and 20 kind of more alternative titles. Maybe it could be 40 and 10, but I never want to see DC stop trying to experiment because, you may end up with kind of a cult hit. Young Heroes in Love was a real cult hit from DC in the 90s that a lot of people don't remember, and it sold terribly, but it was fondly remembered.
We barely see any in the back issues.
Major Bummer was another one. Again, none of these sold. But then you also have experiments that Sandman, Swamp Thing, Preacher, these were experiments, right? You had no idea what these things were going to become, and will Omega Man or Prez be this perennial title? Unlikely, but don't stop trying.
Yeah, no, you. I mean, that's the thing is when you look at DC's line now, you have your Bat titles, you have Justice League titles, you have Superman titles that are suffering badly.
The Superman titles are fantastic right now.
Oh, they're doing better right now.
It's just much better. Just the path they're taking, the stories are better. Yeah. I like the direction they went after Convergence.
Yeah, but so you have all these big ones, but you still have the little ones that are out there. Like we got Deathstroke now. We have
Deathstroke's not little.
Well, no, compared to a Batman title, Deathstroke is a smaller book.
I was selling quite a few Batman titles.
Oh, really? Nice. But it's nice to see a variety when you look at the wall. It's like right now I'm seeing.
But Deathstroke isn't the variety. Deathstroke's the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, it's a meat and potatoes book. But no, I'm meaning like you have Black Canary on there. You have Earth Society. You have Gotham by Midnight. You have books that are different. They're Gotham Academy to some extent. I have seen a lot of younger audience is come in for Gotham Academy because it's aimed at a younger audience.
And a book like Gotham Academy is selling well in trade paperback. It's selling consistently over time, which a lot of these books don't. There's a lot of reorder on it. So, the belief here is that Bruce Wayne will be back as Batman, but that was never a question. That was always going to happen. Superman may revert back to a more not traditional pre-New 52 Superman, but lose the T-shirts and be a little more classic, new, quote-unquote classic New 52
When's the
Superman.
Zatanna makes everyone forget.
And maybe downplay the current story arcs, which would be unfortunate because Superman is probably the best it's been at least reviewed in a decade, right?
Yeah, no, the new stuff with him being outed as Clark Kent has been good.
Yeah.
I don't think the way they started it was really good. It was a very, very awkward transition from the stuff that was happening
but
prior. Well, it's because we had that 2-month gap with Convergence.
Right.
And then it's like, boom, this happens.
But that was on purpose, right? I mean, they took that break to set all this up.
Yeah, so. But it was awkward because it was like kind of, it happened and you're like, what's going on in Superman right now? And then they're like, oh yeah, well, this happened. So it wasn't the bestly, it wasn't executed the best. I mean, now that we've had a couple issues in and you're kind of they kind of steamrolled past it, you don't, it's fine now. But I mean, I remember when I was first reading those ones after Convergence, I was like, okay, so he got outed, but in this one, he's not outed yet. And they're like, because there's a lot of little crossover with all the all the Superman books, like Action and Superman and Superman and Wonder Woman and.
Yeah, it seems like they almost use the Convergence, which is a big multiverse, sort of almost like Crisis. I mean, it did involve the Crisis, right? And then you have Multiversity happening all in parallel, and then 2 months later, it's almost like you could use the aftershock of these big events as sort of just scapegoat. We don't really know what happened the last 2 months, but Crisis stuff, and now it's different.
Lois printed something in a paper.
Yeah, she must have been really mad.
Well, they're getting into that more backstory of what happened. So, you know what? End of the day, DC, I really hope this is maybe not as true as it sounds or not as, I'd hate to see all these books canceled edition number 6 or 8. I really would like to see a lot of these books continue. Some of them are fantastic. I always need to, have books that are...
Well, it keeps the line fresh because there's a variety. When you have a variety at the... when you go to the buffet, it's nice to have a variety of food at the buffet. When you have the same shit over and over and over again, you're like, well, yeah, I like the meat and potatoes, but sometimes, you change it up. Slap me with something else.
So how do the Masters of the Universe books actually sell for DC overall?
Okay.
Yeah, don't cancel those, please. I like those. Those are good.
For a licensed book, I think it does pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk Fear of Walking Dead pilot here. Before I do that, though, I'm going to thank some people from Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/comicconspiracy, don't forget you can donate some money to us, which helps pay for our hosting, pays for, getting our food beforehand, and, Which, I didn't get food this week. Sorry, Toby. But it would pay for our food if I got food.
If you had seen his tweets from earlier or last night or earlier today about how much pizza he had eaten,
it's not my fault he went to a wrestling party.
Pizza.
No, it was the pizza last night.
Yeah, it was the pizza Sunday. It was also the pizza Monday, and I was like, can't have pizza Tuesday. We got to thank Albert Soy at Plant.
Thank you, Albert.
His awesome app, Plant Everywhere. Check it out on iPhone. It's a cool photo sharing app. Go and
once it's on Android, I'll check it out.
Well, yeah. Let's get it going. Jody Larsen, Canon, the Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicstudio.com. Go check out those comics. Those guys are doing good stuff. As well as Julian Titus at the Nerds Without Pants podcast at pixelbit.com, pixelbit.com. Mm-hmm. Keep it pantsless.
No pants.
No pants. All right. We're going to talk about Fear the Walking Dead here. So
I got a question.
Yo.
Is Grayson ending on number 12?
No.
You sure?
No. Grayson's one of those books that is pretty successful with the shift.
Okay.
I mean, maybe not selling as good as Nightwing did when New 52 started, but it's a very popular
It's a Nightwing book.
Yeah.
It's
very
just
popular.
A different title. Yeah.
No, what's going on?
Okay.
I mean, I've read it since it's been Grayson. I read a little Nightwing and then I jumped off, but now that it's Grayson, I've been reading it.
Okay.
So, Walking Dead. Brock, you caught up
with the Walking Dead?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Clinton, did you watch Walking Dead?
Yeah, absolutely.
You caught up on it and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Fear the Walking Dead. I know me and Toby saw it. You said you weren't into it, though.
It wasn't that I wasn't into it. It's that it was DVR'd. I started watching maybe the first 10 minutes of it. It went to one of those really long AMC commercial breaks.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to sit down and finish it yet.
Oh, okay. You weren't like delete.
No,
okay.
No, I saw the opening scene, which is pretty intense. It wasn't slow or anything. So no, I'm going to watch it. I want to see how the whole thing started.
Yeah.
I think I watched The Strain instead.
Yeah. Very similar, right?
I was trying to catch up on The Strain, and
I still haven't started.
Well, catching up on something that you've been watching and enjoying versus starting something new it's always I got to get caught up first.
And Brock, are you gonna watch this? Or?
Yeah, with the Walking Dead and stuff, I normally I can't necessarily watch it the night of.
Sure.
So it's something that if the kids are taking a nap, I put on demand. So hopefully I'll be able to catch it this week.
Okay. Toby, what'd you think?
I thought it was kind of slow. I thought it was semi-boring. And the most interesting... can we talk spoilers?
Yeah, full spoiler. Yeah, sorry. For people listening, full spoiler for the pilot of
Actually,
Fear
the most interesting character I liked pretty much died right away, so I was like, finally an interesting character, and there he goes.
His friend, the drug dealer guy?
The drug dealer, I was like, he's phenomenal. I like him. I'm like, I felt all the characters were sort of one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is all set up, and things are happening, and things are going to change, right? So this is like a number one issue of a current comic book. You can't really judge it on number one or as an episode one. It seems like they're setting it up for...
You can judge it by, did it keep your interest enough to...
Well, no, you can't really judge. No, I think it's very...
keep your interest enough to read issue 2.
I don't think you could judge it that way. I really don't think you could judge it that way.
With this,
because isn't it a 6-issue, 6-episode miniseries?
I believe it's 8.
Eight
I think
episode miniseries. Things could really turn up like later on. So if this is just a setup, I don't want to judge it by this. So, yeah.
I mean,
no, but you want to watch more, though. That's what I'm saying. You want to watch more.
If this was a non-Walking Dead show, 24, 13-episode series, no, I would not.
Oh, okay.
I definitely would not. Knowing that it's a mini-series, knowing that it's Walking Dead related, I will continue to watch it.
Right. Yeah, knowing what's kind of...
Yeah, but I felt the characters were a little flat. But for now, I don't want to. I'll keep going. I mean, this is just a setup, so I don't want to judge it yet.
Have you read any of the accompanying books that go with Walking Dead? So the novels, the Governor stuff. Or?
I have the Governor book because I ran the Walking Dead obstacle course. They actually gave you the entire book at the end of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I know I haven't read it. I'm not one of those guys that reads books.
Maybe I have one of them.
Maybe it is only 6.
There's 3?
Maybe it is only 6 episodes.
2. There might be 3 now. I know there's 2 at least.
Are they good? Have you read?
I have one of them. I haven't read it.
The first 2 for sure. The Woodbury book and then the Rise of the Governor. I've read those. Well, actually, I haven't read anything in years. I did Audible.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, that's fine. That's the same thing.
You can consider that reading. That's fine.
So yeah, I've heard the opposite. Some people don't like that. But there's like the hardcore book readers that like to actually turn pages and stuff. They'll get mad at you if you actually tell them you read and then you mention Audible. They're anti audiobook.
Yeah.
Well, as long as it's not Ryan Higgins' way of reading, which he doesn't. So, as long as you're reading and getting the information in. I mean, because you're going through, you're hearing the words, every single word. There's no accompanying pictures. I figure that's reading. And a lot of people do it because the only place they can do it is like in the car on their commute or, so it makes sense to me. Like, I would say you read a book even when you just listen to it.
Yeah, but all I really got from the Walking Dead books, and honestly, it's kind of cheating on their part because I'm going to watch the Fear the Walking Dead regardless because I want more information about the main show.
Yeah,
like I want to know what happened, and you want to kind of watch and like, hey, this is how you fix it. This is how you fix it because we saw that maybe we'll get that information in Fear the Walking Dead. The same with the books. I wouldn't have listened or read those if it wasn't Walking Dead. But I mean, all I really gained from that was a spoiler alert that the governor is a jerk because of what happened in that book.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he was always kind of a jerk.
So real quick, Fear the Walking Dead is 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And it has already been signed for a 15-episode second season.
Okay.
So that actually goes against what I was about to say, which was, I think it's an interesting setup, but I don't know if you make this an ongoing show because once the apocalypse has happened, which happens very quickly.
Yeah. Well,
why continue? Because we have The Walking Dead. But apparently it doesn't matter. And I think the reason it was signed is because they expected it to do well, but I don't know if they expected it to do this well. Fear the Walking Dead had 10.1 million live/same-day viewers, making it the highest watch series premiere in cable television history. So, whether they're all checking out episode 2, because reviews were definitely a little mixed, but people say also that they hate The Walking Dead, and their ratings just constantly go up on it. So I expect the shows to do very well.
I'm missing my Rick Grimes and my Daryl in the show.
But they weren't Rick Grimes and Daryl episode 1, right? That's
totally agree.
You know what this is going to end up being, right? This is going to be Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, and it's just going to be East Coast versus West Coast.
No crossover though.
No, they said no crossover.
I actually here's my two cents on what I think will happen if this show doesn't do well. One is you'll probably see characters that you know in The Walking Dead, maybe just one character, but I have a feeling that you probably see one that happens to be in LA. The other thing that might happen if it really does bad is they probably time jump from season to season, and it gets closer and closer to actually the Walking Dead time.
But they're not. Walking Dead is not.
It's not that much further in the future.
It's a couple years, maybe 2 years.
Well, Rick Grimes was 2 weeks in coma?
No,
I think it was like 6 weeks or something.
He was in a coma for about I'd say about 4 to 6 weeks.
So he should already have been shot. He should already be in a coma at this point.
Yeah.
Well, and if you look too, this isn't really even the start of it because there's that kid who's like, oh, this is like, they say it's not connected, but this has been happening in other states. So we're really not even seeing the start.
I do like that the nerdy kid reading the internet, figuring things out. It is like, you can't take the knife from me that I have to defend my life with.
Yeah. So I like the first episode. Again, it's a lot of character build and a lot of character setup, and maybe a little one-dimensional. But, The Walking Dead's amazing. I expect this will ramp up. This will escalate very quickly.
My thoughts exactly. Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
Yeah, if
even Walking, the first episode of The Walking Dead was
first couple episodes.
The first episode was good, but I mean it.
Well, they're not blowing brains out.
But you had a perfect setup of him waking up in the hospital, and things are completely different than when he was, when he was alive.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean. He was still alive, but before he went under.
Yeah.
But that's one hell of a story startup, right?
Well, that's shot for shot out of the comic.
Yeah, that's shot for shot out of the comic. But it was that first episode was an hour and a half, and it was just, the big thing in that whole episode was the tank and all the zombies in Atlanta.
Well, I think the big storyline was the guy in the house seeing his own wife and walking up to the house.
Story wise, that was it. But I'm saying cinematically, because people have always complained about Walking Dead. Oh, there wasn't enough zombies, or there wasn't enough gore, and they're all they go back and forth.
Have they seen this show?
Yeah, I know. No. Oh. But Jesus. No, remember it was the farm. Everyone was like, God, the farm was so boring and blah blah blah. And then season 3 opens with a ton of action and
season 2 ended with crazy shit.
But in the first episode, it was that was the big, huge kind of zombie thing was all the zombies and then the tank and then coming over.
Okay,
but story wise, no, it was the
What was your point with this? I'm sorry.
Well, the thing is the first episode of Walking Dead was it was slow going. It wasn't necessarily
the entire show. This isn't like an action movie. Walking Dead.
I know it's not an action movie, but you guys have been saying that Fear the Walking Dead was kind of slow, it's kind of one-dimensional. And if you look back,
it was really slow though.
The first episode of Walking Dead was a little slow too.
But the first episode of Walking Dead, they were in the thick of it.
Yeah,
it was.
This is like normal day life over and over and over, talking about divorces and different mom and dads.
I think if this episode was an hour long, it would have been perfectly fine.
I agree.
How long was it?
An hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
I think there was too much. If I had a complaint, there was too much kind of one-dimensional character building that will immediately never be important.
Why I like the drug dealer so much, because I was like, if he survives, he makes a really interesting character in the future. But I was really thrown off that I was like, man, they let him go.
Well, who's the first guy they kill in the show? A black guy.
Yeah.
Walking Dead
already has this bad thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you just really made the first black character you introduce into a zombie, huh?
Well, in the first...
Well, to be fair, it was a white woman. That's the first zombie.
Well, that's true.
So in the original Walking Dead, the first episode, you had this really impactful, really controversial imagery of what was the first shot, the first zombie taken down was a little girl.
Yeah.
And they had to shoot her right between the eyes, and you're watching this, it's like, oh man, the show's serious. They mean business. You don't see that on regular shows. So then I guess with this new show, you have to kind of live up to that. And you have 4 seasons.
Which it didn't. Yeah.
It's hard. It doesn't necessarily even have to be as good as the actual Walking Dead.
Do you guys read the trades at all?
What do you mean? The comic books?
Yeah, the comic book.
Yes.
You read the trades
issues?
Yes.
So on the back of the trades, it said the same thing over and over again. No TV, no internet, no nothing. It goes through the same list of everything. And this is kind of, I think this is kind of establishing what that part was before everything happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. Yeah, this is normal life. Yeah.
And it's going to be boring.
But by the end of this episode, it's already starting.
Okay.
So, it's...
I do like how they kind of tease certain things in the backgrounds that you can see, things are starting, but it could be just LA.
Right. You really don't know.
Riot going on.
Yeah, there's a homeless bumping around. I'm you don't know if that's a zombie or if it's just a homeless guy, right? Well, when the freeway gets shut down, you go it could be gangs, it could be LA, or it could be a zombie attack, right?
So,
Clinton mentioned it earlier. Do you watch The Strain?
No.
So it's based on a novel / series of comics.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched the second season yet, but I've only watched the first season so far. But it isn't post-apocalyptic. It's the apocalypse, and it's very slow. Like it's vampires basically take over the world, but it's happening like just little by little, and things get a little bit worse.
Isn't The Last Ship also a zombie show?
Which one?
The Last Ship.
The Last Ship. I think that's.
Isn't it? Isn't it people on a ship and people are infected that are not on the ship?
I think that's more of like just disease,
Plague kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's more of a plague thing.
Okay.
My future father-in-law watches it. He really enjoys that show.
So I know like the strain. I think it's just slowly.
I have no problem with
Ramping
slow
up.
shows, actually.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
these characters just did not grab me. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched The Killing. That's one hell of a slow show, but man, there's some deep stuff in there. It's like some really cool storylines going on. The characters are very interesting. I have no problem with slow shows. Let me reiterate that. But, I mean, I do think the characters are about to change. I really do think this is just a setup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by change, you mean eat each other.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them, yeah. And I do like,
in LA.
you know, the druggy storyline is so 90s, I feel like.
Well, you have this like drug addict son, and I mean, it's just like, well, clearly he's going to have to either get over it or die. Like,
Yeah.
so, and
But
if
I
it's the
also
main
like it
character-
how he's the one that sees the zombies first and no one believes him,
Yeah,
and then more
yeah.
things happen, and he sees more and more weird shit happen.
He's freaking out.
So what if the drug addict's son actually survives the whole thing, and you just sort of follow him around this? You know, he's like raiding, medicine cabinets and stuff, and no one's left to defend their stash. So you can have this guy kind of, he's a survivor, and he goes
Yeah.
from town to town and house to house. I don't know.
He could. Yeah. I mean, who knows where they're going to go with it. I expect a lot of the people you've met will die. Well, they already in that tease of the upcoming episodes. They
Yeah.
are already like, you see like two of the
Chaos is happening.
Yeah.
And I even think I maybe briefly glanced over an article online that the main guy, the Hispanic or Indian guy, I'm not entirely sure who he is yet.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah. So I heard he has a major change coming. So,
Okay.
so I think there's things happening. So I think if it's only 6 episodes, we should just revisit this in 6 weeks. And
Yeah.
maybe do a halfway point.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to end. I think like right before The Walking Dead starts up. Right.
Oh.
Like,
So Walking Dead's supposed to middle of October.
yeah. I think mid-October.
It's
So.
usually a Halloween thing, right? Like close to Halloween, they do the black
The
and white.
first few years they did that, but I think they've kind of.
So we're really only
Changed it
6
up.
episodes away from the actual Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Because that was my highlight, seeing the trailer for the actual Walking Dead.
I'm excited. All right.
No, you know what this means?
What's that?
All the shows are coming back.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. My DVR is ready.
I am not ready.
Wait, what's left?
Oh no,
we-
the second seasons and third seasons and Flash Arrow's coming
Flash
back.
Arrow.
that's this soon?
That's what he meant by it.
Oh, that's this soon?
All,
yeah.
all of the TV shows
September,
are coming
November,
back.
All right.
October.
Yeah, because Arrow.
I probably
and Flash
said it
are
all
back in
wrong
September,
order.
right?
Yeah.
Arrow, Flash are
October,
September, and then we get Walking Dead in October. Gotham's coming back. DC Legends is next year, right?
Yeah. Legends Tomorrow's next
Well,
year.
I think that's a mid-season thing.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then
We're getting Prison Break back, Captain Cold and Heatwave. Woohoo!
And then are we getting
Shield.
the next Netflix?
Shield's
Marvel
coming
show?
back. Jessica Jones is, I think, this year.
Do you think Jessica Jones and Daredevil season 2 are happening at the same time? I have slight suspicion
no
about
idea.
it. We're seeing more things of Daredevil season 2 than we do of Jessica Jones.
Yeah. Well, they're pushing the hell out of that, and they're filming
Yeah.
it already. It's weird that they pushed back Iron Fist and Luke Cage to do a second Daredevil so quickly, but
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, as long as it's good, I don't care.
Daredevil's just really good. I'm looking forward. It's Punisher in this one, right? The
Yep.
Shane from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Still pissed they killed him in The Walking Dead.
And Elektra is on this
Well,
one.
he's in the TV show a lot longer than he's in the comics.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up. Clinton, thank you very much for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Keep listening to us when you're in Brazil. So
I will do that.
get us trending down there or something.
Absolutely.
Trending in Brazil.
Sure. You never
Really?
know. You ever go to like the world trending topics on Twitter? Like not just like San Francisco or like it's always a bunch of like crazy shit from South America that I have no idea what's going on. They really love Twitter down there.
Wow.
WhatsApp is the thing now.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, all the businesses actually advertise a WhatsApp phone number. It's
Oh, wow.
crazy.
All right. This episode and other previous episodes. Well, if you were traveling to Brazil and would like to listen to us while you're down there, you should go to geekbox.net or iTunes.
Hiding under a T-shirt and an umbrella and
yes,
having coconut water?
Yes.
Okay.
And don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes as well. That's always very helpful.
Any new ones?
I haven't checked in a while. I'll have to check soon.
You need to check. That's your homework assignment.
Forums.geekbox.net and the Geekbox and Comicspiracy Facebook group. Go check those out. Talk to our lovely listeners. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. That is our Comixology digital storefront. Everything available on Comixology. Well, the vast majority of things available on Comixology are available through us as well. Same account. Go on there, buy, subscribe. And, it's a good deal. Patreon.com/comicconspiracy. That's where you can donate some money to us for this podcast. Go do that. Conspiratobrock.com. It's Brock's blog and video pull lists.
My video pull list is up there. It's also on the YouTube channel. I just don't remember what my YouTube channel address is.
Infinite Longbox podcast and Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. Those are Charlie's. Charlie's going to be out for a couple weeks. His kids started school and they got some school crap going on, but he will be back soon. On Twitter, Ryan Higgins, Ryan, Brock is Brock Sager, Bryce, you heard briefly. It was Larsen, Bryce, Toby is Toby XI, Charlie's Incendied in Chaos. Clinton, do you got a Twitter? I know you have a Twitter.
Yeah, it's at Clint Cronin. I say nothing useful, but it exists and I am there.
Follow him on there. Do you want to pip anything else? Is there anything tell your school again? Where do you teach?
All right, I'm at American Kickboxing Academy in Sunnyvale, California. I'm the morning jiu-jitsu guy there. So if you want to learn jiu-jitsu, come and we'll talk about comic books.
Stop being a fat slob like the rest of us and be a real man.
You want to wake up, have your coffee, and get some kicks in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. You learn to choke out your friends, break each other's arms and stuff. It's good times.
Don't forget to listen to Geekbox, Comedy Button, Good Job Brain, and the All Talk podcast. There's other podcasts in our little network. Go check those guys out. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll be back next week.